Hi there. Welcome back to day number 2 of the Yoga Sutra Chant Back Challenge. How was day 1? Right? I'm really curious. Now, if you found it a little bit challenging, no worries. If you didn't find it challenging, you are definitely an exception to the rule. It should be a little bit challenging because it's brand new. This is something that we've never done before. If you want my feedback on how well you're doing with your chant, or you're looking for some pointers or some tips on where you can make some corrections or adjustments to fine tune your chanting practice, you can email me a little video or you can DM me on Instagram, your choice. But this work should be challenging, you know. The beautiful thing is, though, and this is what I love about the ancients. They were very, first of all, concise, to the point. You know, when you think about the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, this is a very short book with 4 chapters, or sometimes people say 4 books. You know, but each chapter or book really looks at, Samadhi Pada, Sadhanapada, Vibhudipada, and Kaivalyapada. Like, you have the 4 chapters in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and they're very concise, very succinct. This is why they call them sutras, because they're threading together this very tight knit quilt of profound practical wisdom in a very easy to grasp way. I mean, it becomes more easy when you have a knowledgeable and proficient coach or teacher, but anybody can figure this stuff out. Anybody can figure this stuff out. But the ancient was very, very deep, very concise, but they were also very efficient. Okay, and I say efficient because when you think about the chanting practice, not only are we learning the words, I mean, like in this particular challenge, and in all the courses that I teach around the Yoga Sutras, we're learning the word for word translations of the sutras as well as the overall meaning of the sutras. Okay, so we're learning this practical knowledge, but we're also breathing in a long exhale kind of way. Like, the longer you exhale, the more relaxing it is. But we're also using sound. Okay, so we're doing something neurologically to make us very calm, and we're using sound, and we're also working on the throat chakra, which is the 5th chakra, right? And it's one of the higher chakras. So, and then we know that the higher we go in that that body of thinking, that the more challenging the work becomes, because the subtler things get, and they're not as obvious as the lower stuff, the very gross and obvious stuff. Okay, so I love this. I love this with a passion. Can you tell? But let me go ahead and review yesterday's sutra, Sutra 2.1, the very first sutra of chapter 2. And it goes, Tapaha Swadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. Love that, because it really does say what this chapter is all about. Kriya Yoga. So chapter 1, Samadhi Pada, is talking about, the footsteps we take to actualize our fullest potential, or I say samadhi is about integration into perfect wholeness, and pada means foot or footsteps. So samadhi pada means, you could interpret it this way, I do, footsteps towards perfect wholeness, right? And this is a prerequisite in order to be able to attain yoga, or even to practice it in a deep way, right? Remember, I don't know if you remember, but in one of my previous videos, I talked about Ashtanga Yoga briefly, and we really cover the first 5 angas, limbs of yoga, in chapters 1 and 2, because this is the foundation. Chapter 3 gets into the last 3 angas of Ashtanga Yoga, okay? And that's, the first 5 are necessary as a foundation to be able to hold space for the upper 3, right? Which have to do with yoga, as we'll find out in the very next sutra that we're going to talk about. But anyway, Sutra 2.1, Tapa, We're talking about friction. We're talking about doing something new, something different. A practice that allows us to reduce our impurities, whether the impurities be in body on the very gross level or in thought, right? The subtle realms. Okay, so we're talking about purifying all that, reducing impurities. That's the practice of tapa, okay? Or tapas, tapaha, whatever. All right, then we have swadhyaya. And then swadhyaya is study that leads to knowledge of self, right? Man, know thyself. So reflect, contemplate what you've gone through and what does this mean for you on every level, like physically. When you eat food, it affects you, right? When you speak to people, the words you say affect people in a certain way, which causes them to respond to you a certain way, which then creates this chemistry, and it's either, hydrogen and oxygen forming water, or two elements come together and create something very volatile. And it's all about communication. So we have to refine the way we speak to people also, and the way we communicate. The thoughts that we have might cause us to say certain things. So we're talking about working on ourselves on every level, and I mean, even the emotional level. I mean, this is so profound and so deep that I don't know, it begs the attention of everybody who's really interested in living a high quality life, or at least the highest quality life they're capable of living. This text is the equivalent of what I call the Cliff Notes on self-mastery and living a higher life, the highest quality life possible. So we have tapas, swadhyaya, and then ishvara pranidhana dwa. Okay, so ishvara pranidhana is talking about total surrender to the divine ideal of pure awareness. Okay, and that can be, in your word, God. It can be Allah. It can be the oversoul. It can be infinite intelligence. It could be whatever you choose to call the cause of creation, the universe. Whatever word floats your boat, it's all good, right? Just find one and know that there's some force, there's something about this reality that has always taken care of us. If that was not the case, then we would not be here today. Now, I'm not saying that we've always enjoyed or liked what we were going through, but what we were going through, whatever experience we might have, was to our benefit, because the silver lining is always there's something to learn from that. Okay? And if we had not learned what we had to learn, what we had to go through to learn, then we wouldn't be who we are. All right, and we have to be very happy with who we are, because if we weren't who we are, we wouldn't be here, right? Trying to figure out, what is Patanjali really talking about? So we have to know that there's something about this reality, this existence, that is really pulling strings to our benefit. Okay, so Ishvara Pranidhana, there's nothing to worry about ever, right? Worry has only subtracted from our experience. It's never added to our experience. So there it is. And then we have Kriya Yoga. Kriya means action. So what does yoga look like when I'm actually doing yoga? All right, so a yogic action has these three criteria. If these three criteria are not met simultaneously, then it's not a yogic action. This is why, I really implore yoga teachers or serious students of yoga to study the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, to make sure that what we're doing on a mat is not just on a mat, right? We're really doing yoga, right? Because just because people are doing some fancy stuff on mats, they get into fancy poses and they're increasing their flexibility, that does not make their practice a yoga practice. All right, we have to know this stuff, right? But when we're on a mat and we're sweating, right? Now we are reducing impurities, and we're having to focus and concentrate to keep our balance and not be distracted. How easy is it for us to look away, right? But to stay focused, all right, that creates some friction, some heat. That's tapas, right? So there is that tapaha in an asana practice, okay? Then swadhyaya. Swadhyaya can happen in the moment during the practice, or we can reflect on our practice after the practice. But how does that move us? Did we get injured? Did we get hurt? Did we strain ourselves? Or was it very easy feeling? Did it really calm me and rest my nerve? right? I mean, just to reflect on this. And then what was it about the practice that was different? Was it the visualization? Was it the breathing technique? Was it the posture? Excuse me. Was it the posture? There are so many different things that we can pay attention to that really do add to us. And then how did the practice allow us to go out into the world? When I say the practice, I'm talking about the practice on a mat yoga. How did that practice allow us to go into the world and navigate it in the most harmonious way, or not? Right? Did it cause us to be a little impatient and intolerant to certain people's behaviors, or did it make us more harmonious and peaceful and accepting of others and more tolerant? And I won't even say tolerant, because to be tolerant is to tolerate things, but just to be open to this other energy, right? It can be a beautiful thing. If our energy is really strong, then there's nothing that the energy can do to like diminish ours. So we want to work on our energy. Okay. Yeah, man. Yeah. So you guys ready to work on the next sutra? I just want to introduce it. You know that you have the other video I'm gonna chant the sutra a few more times. I'm gonna share with you the swetas and the word for word breakdown. So you have plenty of time to practice. But I just wanted to say, hey, let you know that it's all good if you found day one a little bit of a challenge, and going forward it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, right? There's no way around that, but it's a practice for a reason, and with practice we get better. We may never reach that pinnacle of perfection that we're aiming for, that we aspire to, but we will always get ever more better if we just keep on doing the work on a regular basis. Okay, so anyway, I digress. Okay, you guys ready for the next sutra? All right, Sutra 2.2, the second sutra of chapter 2, SadhanaPada. Samadhi bhavanataha klesha tanu karanatascha. All right, so I'm going to go over this again, but the second sutra in chapter 2 is just saying, okay, why do we need to do yoga? Like, why do we have to, what's the point and what's the purpose of doing yoga? Like the action of yoga, carrying out this process whereby we can assess whether or not an action was a yogic action or not. What's the point? Okay, and the point is twofold according to Yoga Sutra 2.2. The first one is to realize samadhi. And this is what chapter 1 was all about, right? Samadhi pada. Like, how do you achieve samadhi? Because samadhi is like, it's a prerequisite to achieving the ultimate aim or ultimate goal of yoga, which is liberation, kaivalya. Okay? But again, I digress. The benefits of Kriya Yoga, yoga in action, are twofold. Samadhi pada is realized, and the kleshas are reduced. And we're going to talk about what the kleshas are when you go to the other video that I have waiting on you. But anyway, that's the second sutra. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Please, 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 if you have not already, go and download the workbook if you need it, if you can use it, right? Because it does help keep organized notes. And I also share with you the interpretations of 7 other respected authorities in the area of yoga, just to show you that everybody interprets the whole sutra slightly differently, but the words contain a context and contain a meaning that I want you to be able to extrapolate and put into your own words. Okay? Internalize the stuff, live the word, be the word. But anyway, I can go on and on. Hey, this was day 2. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for day 3. In the meantime, go grab the workbook, watch the other video, and have a blessed day. Love you. See you later.